Unreal vocabulary becomes much easier when every word is tied to a visible place in the editor. This episode is not just a dictionary. We will locate each concept, see what it can do, and connect it to the next concept. Whenever an AI gives you Unreal instructions, use this tour to check whether it is talking about a saved asset, a live object, a part of an object, or gameplay logic. A project is the complete workspace on disk, opened through a .project file. It contains code, content, plugins, settings, and one or more maps. Use Edit project settings to configure project-wide systems such as input, collision channels, maps, and packaging. A level, also called a map, is a saved .umap asset in the content browser. Double-clicking a map loads it into the main viewport. The world is the running container created for the loaded map. The world outliner shows the actor instances currently inside it, while world settings controls rules that belong to that world or level. Open the content drawer or content browser to find assets. An asset is saved reusable content, a static mesh, material, texture, sound, animation, map, or blueprint class. Dragging an asset into the viewport often creates an actor instance. Actors are the objects that exist in the world, so they appear in the viewport and world outliner. Select an actor and the Details panel exposes what you can change. Components are the functional parts owned by an actor. In a Blueprint's Components panel, you can add a mesh for visuals, a collision shape for contact, an audio component for sound, or a movement component for motion. A pawn is an actor that can be possessed. That means a controller can send decisions to it. A character is a specialized pawn designed for upright characters. Open a character blueprint and its components panel commonly shows a capsule component, skeletal mesh, character movement, and camera components. Character movement supplies walking, falling, jumping, and movement settings. A player controller converts player input into decisions, while an AI controller supplies automated decisions. Look in a game mode's default classes to see which player controller and default pawn classes a game uses. The controller possesses the pawn. It is not the visible body itself. A class is a reusable definition. A blueprint asset in the content browser can define a class, including its default components, variables, and behavior. Drag that class into the level and you create an instance, one real actor with its own name in the world outliner and editable values and details. A reference is a value that points to a particular instance. In blueprints, an object reference variable or a node pin can carry that pointer. A class says what every door can be. An instance is door 3 in this map. A reference lets a switch find door 3 and call open door on it. Open a blueprint and find 4 important areas. The Components panel defines what the actor owns. My blueprint lists variables and functions. The event graph holds the visual logic. An event is an entry point that reports something happened, such as begin play, input, overlap, or damage. A variable stores data such as health, speed, or a target reference. A function groups reusable work behind a clear name and can accept inputs or return outputs. White execution wires show when work runs. Colored data pins show what information moves. Read a blueprint by following execution first, then inspect the data used at each decision. Select an actor and look near the top of the Details panel for transform. Location answers where the object is, rotation answers which way it faces, and scale answers how large it is relative to its original size. In the viewport, W selects the Move tool, E selects Rotate, and R selects Scale. Location usually uses centimeters, rotation uses degrees, and scale is a multiplier. Components also have transforms, but a component transform is normally relative to its parent. When an object appears in the wrong place, first check whether you are editing the actor transform or a child component transform. Select a mesh, capsule, or other primitive component and find its collision section in Details. Collision Enabled decides whether the shape participates in queries, physics, or both. Collision presets combine an object type with responses to channels. Block stops another object, overlap detects contact without stopping it, and ignore does neither. Project settings, collision is where teams create custom object and trace channels. If an overlap event never fires, check the collision shape, collision enabled, both objects channel responses, and generate overlap events before blaming the blueprint. Tick runs logic every frame. In a blueprint, you may see event tick in the event graph, and class defaults exposes actor tick settings, such as whether ticking starts enabled. Tick is useful for truly continuous behavior, but its cost repeats across every frame and every ticking instance. Prefer an event when something has a clear trigger, or a timer when work only needs to run at an interval. If AI suggests event tick for opening a door, updating a score, or checking a one-time overlap, ask whether an event-driven solution would be clearer and cheaper. Here is the full chain. A project stores assets and maps in the content browser. Loading a map creates a world whose actor instances appear in the world outliner. Each actor owns components, and its editable instance values appear in details. A controller can possess a pawn, while character adds a common movement system. A blueprint class defines defaults and logic. Events start execution, variables carry data and references, and functions perform named work. Transform controls placement, collision controls contact, and tick handles continuous time. When an AI answer sounds plausible but fails in Unreal, ask 5 questions. Is it describing an asset or an actor instance? Which panel should show the setting? Content browser, world outliner, details, components, my blueprint, or project settings? Which object owns the component? Is the value a class, an instance, or a reference? Does the logic need an event, a function, a timer, or tick? If the answer cannot name the location and the relationship, it probably does not understand the task yet.